Hi fiber friends, I am demonstrating how to make a beanie, and after you have knitted a stocking knit for the designated measurement, you'll start to decrease. Now for the purposes of demonstration, I just started decreasing sooner so that I could show you this technique. So after you've decreased a whole bunch, you know what, when you're making your crown, it's going to get to the point where you have too few stitches on your needles to knit them comfortably with your circular needles. And that's where the double pointed needle comes in handy. So at the beginning of your round, you'll just stop knitting with your circular needle and you'll start using double pointed needles. So I'm at the point where I'm knitting 3 and then knitting 2 together. So what you want to do is count your stitches and figure out how many you can fit on one needle. Well, spread through 4 needles actually, because you have 5 double pointed needles. That's how many they come. So I figured that one of my needles has to have more stitches on it than the other 3, and that's okay. 1, 2, 3, knit 2 together, 1, 2, 3. Okay, knit 2 together. And then I will switch to my next double pointed needle. And you can slowly start to get these off your circular needle. And it will get a lot easier. But you just keep doing this until you no longer have any stitches on the circular needle. At this point, because I don't have very many stitches, it won't take very long. And it can be a little bit tricky to work with double pointed needles. Just know that it's tricky and you're not doing anything wrong because it feels weird. The first time you work with double pointed needles will feel weird, just like it was weird to knit for the very first time. It was like, what are my hands doing? But you'll get the hang of it. So I'm on my last one. And it gets a little bit tight here at the end just because you stretched it across on the double pointed needles. And you can do this sooner than I did. You can do it at the knit 4, the knit 2 together point. You just have to figure out how to distribute the amount of stitches you have across your 4 needles. And that's fine. Okay, so oops, I split that one. You don't want to split your yarn. It's easy to do with these pointed, these wooden needles can be a little pointy. Okay, so as you can see, I'm using, my yarn is on 4 needles. So when I start my next round, I will have one needle left that has nothing on it, and that's the one that I will use to start. So I'll be basically swapping this needle that's empty, putting stitches on it, and then this needle will be empty. So I'll just demonstrate that really quick. So I will be knitting around even with no decreases, just so you can see how they go from being an empty needle. Now this one's empty, and I just move on to the next needle to be worked. And you'll know which one to work because it'll keep your hat smooth. Then I'll just turn my work a little bit and go around. And it can be tricky to know where your beginning and end is, and I forgot to mention this at the beginning. Sorry. But because I started my stitches, my first needle, with a lot of stitches on it, it was easy for me to tell, but that won't always be the case. Sometimes you'll have an even amount of stitches on every needle. It'll be the same amount. And so it'll be tricky to tell. And so if you want to remember If each needle, like this one has a lot on it, so I know this was my beginning needle because I remember that, but if they had all had the same amount of stitches on it, to know which was my beginning round, I would just slip this on to one of my first stitch, because you can't just slide it on the needle or it'll fall off because both ends are open, you know. So you just slip it onto a stitch, and when you come to that, you'll take it off, set it to the side, you'll work a stitch. There's your first stitch. Quickly put the stitch marker on that so you don't forget. And then it's there waiting, and as you move along, it'll be there, and you'll know that's the beginning of your round. I hope that helps. Thanks for watching.